I'm Nellie. Sitting here on my balcony, watching the soft Portland rain and the city lights twinkling like distant promises, I'm reminded of how far I've come. It all started with a simple family dinner that turned my world upside down. A week ago, the silence that now fills my apartment was a foreign concept. But it's a silence I've grown to cherish, a stark contrast to the chaos that once consumed my life. The noise of constant demands, the hurtful words, and the never-ending cycle of trying to win love are all behind me. Let me take you back to that fateful family dinner. I remember saying, family dinner. Can't wait for the family reunion. But my sister, Lily, laughed and said, you're not invited. It's for real family. Everyone at the table joined in, their laughter echoing in my ears like a cruel symphony. I still remember the pain, like a shard of glass piercing my heart. The irony? I had paid for that meal. I had always been the one to support the family. My parents, Lily, and her husband, Ryan, had all dined at my expense. Growing up in a well-to-do suburban family, I was the responsible one. While my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were often caught up in their own social circles, I took on the role of the practical daughter. I worked 2 jobs through high school and college, while Lily became the family's darling. She was the one with the charm, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. I naively thought that adulthood would bring balance, but instead, it solidified the unfair hierarchy. Lily's mistakes were seen as endearing, while mine were embarrassing. That family dinner was a turning point. For the first time, I didn't try to fix the situation. I just smiled, paid the bill, and walked away in silence. For days later, my father tried to withdraw $3,600 from our shared account. I had opened that account for his medical emergencies, not for family reunions. When I saw the notification, I took a deep breath and transferred all the money to a new account. I sent him a screenshot with a simple message, payment denied. Must be that family-only policy. 2 days after that, I was on my couch, working on some client reports, when I heard a loud, insistent knock on my door. I thought it might be a delivery, but then I heard Lily's voice, Nellie, open up. She sounded outraged, the same sister who had laughed at me just a few nights ago. When I opened the door a crack, I saw her with her designer bag, smudged lipstick, and fake tears in her eyes. She stepped inside uninvited and said, Dad's furious. You embarrassed him. He couldn't even pay for his medication because you froze the account. I just blinked and thought, he was trying to pull out $3,600 for a caterer, Lily. She rolled her eyes and said, it's all family money. Why are you acting like you're above everyone? I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. Because I earned every dollar. You just collect it. Her lips curled into a sneer. You always think you're better, don't you? The saint who sacrifices for everyone. She laughed bitterly. Newsflash, Nellie. No one needs your martyr act anymore. That's when something inside me snapped, but not in the way it used to. I didn't yell or defend myself. I just walked to the kitchen counter, grabbed a small folder, and handed it to her. She flipped through it and asked, what's this? I replied, receipts. The trip to Paris for your parents' anniversary, paid by me. Dad's dental surgery, paid by me. Ryan's business loan, paid by me. And that family reunion you were mocking me about, I paid the deposit on the venue 6 months ago. But don't worry, I canceled it this morning. Her face fell. You didn't. Oh, I did. Guess you'll have to find a new sponsor for your real family. Lily's voice trembled. You're cruel. I said quietly, no, I'm finally done paying for love that never existed. She stood there, speechless for a moment, and then stormed out. I knew it wasn't over, though. Lily never fought alone. The next day, my phone started blowing up. Unknown numbers, private calls, and messages flooded in. Nellie, what's wrong with Dad? He says you stole from him. Why would you take all his money? I opened social media and saw a long, carefully written post under an old family photo. Lily had written, "It breaks my heart to see my sister do this. Family helps family, but I guess some people change when money does. Please keep Dad in your prayers." There were over 200 comments, full of sympathy and outrage. My fiancé, Ethan, called right away. "Don't respond," he said. "They want attention. They'll burn themselves out. But liars don't run out of fuel when people keep feeding them." By evening, my mother texted me. "You've gone too far this time. Dad's blood pressure spiked. If anything happens, it's on you." I sat on the edge of my bed, shaking. The irony was that I was the one who had paid for his blood pressure medication last month. The next morning, there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it to find my father, looking pale and older. He didn't shout or accuse. He just said, "You didn't have to humiliate us." I whispered, "Dad, you did that yourselves." But as he turned to leave, I saw fear in his eyes. Not of me, but of what Lily had done that I hadn't discovered yet. That night, I logged into our old shared financial dashboard. I shouldn't have looked, but something inside me told me to check. When the screen loaded, my hands went cold. There were multiple small withdrawals, $200, $300, $450, recurring every week for the past 6 months. Each was labeled under a name I didn't recognize, L Design Studio. When I clicked on the details, I found that the linked account belonged to Lily. I opened my emails and searched through Dad's old payment alerts. There it was, a message forwarded weeks ago to Lily's address. She had been using his login credentials, and mine too. I didn't know whether to scream or laugh. Instead, I printed every record, labeled each transaction, and put them in a brown envelope. The next morning, I called my father. "I need you to see something," I said. He hesitated. "Is this about the money?" "It's about the person you think is saving you," I said quietly. He came over that afternoon. When he sat down, I slid the folder across the table. His fingers shook as he flipped through the pages. With every line he read, his breathing changed. When he finally looked up, his voice was small. "She took this much from me?" I said softly, "Yes," and blamed me to keep you looking the other way. He stared at the floor, his eyes clouded with realization. "I let her turn me against you." I nodded. "You didn't let her, Dad. You trusted her." "I did, too." He whispered, "What are you going to do now?" I looked at the envelope and said, something I should have done years ago. I didn't sleep that night. Dad's broken voice kept replaying in my head. Part of me wanted to call Lily and unleash all my pent-up anger, but I knew it wouldn't solve anything. Instead, I opened my laptop and started building a file with all the evidence. At 8 a.m. I called my lawyer, Miss Harris. She listened without interrupting and then asked, "You ready to make this official?" "Yes," I said, "but I don't want revenge. I want accountability." By noon, Miss Harris drafted a fraud affidavit and sent copies of the records to my father's email. He called an hour later, his voice shaking. I signed it. "I can't believe it, Nellie. My own daughter." 2 days later, Lily showed up again, pounding on the door. This time, I didn't answer. Through the glass, she shouted, "You think you're smart, huh? You turned Dad against me." Her words cracked, and for a second, I saw the little girl who used to follow me around. But then she hissed, "You'll regret this." That night, I forwarded the entire case file to the local authorities. Ms. Harris assured me they'd contact Lily soon and that my involvement would be minimal. Before bed, I looked at myself in the mirror. For years, I'd imagined justice would be loud and dramatic, but it was quiet and steady. I whispered to my reflection, "Let the truth do the talking now." 3 days later, Miss Harris called. They've confirmed the fraud, Nellie. The investigation's moving forward. Your father's statement sealed it. I sat there in silence, holding my mug of coffee. What happens now? I asked. She'll be contacted by the Financial Crimes Division, she replied. You don't have to do anything. Just live your life. Later that day, my father called again. His voice was full of guilt. I don't know how to face her, he said. You don't have to, I replied. She made her choices. He sighed. You sound like your mother. That caught me off guard. Mom had passed away 3 years ago, and her absence had always been a pain. She always wanted us to stay close, he said softly. Then she should have taught us how, I whispered. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. You destroyed everything. Hope you're proud. It was Lily. I typed a reply but deleted it. Silence was stronger. Hours later, I got an email from the police liaison confirming they'd contacted Lily. I forwarded it to Ms. Harris and closed my laptop. Ethan came outside and draped a blanket over my shoulders. How's your heart? He asked. Unlearning old loyalties, I said. He smiled faintly. Painful lesson? I nodded. Necessary one. A week later, the noise was gone. No calls, no messages. Just the peaceful hum of my apartment and the gentle sound of rain. Dad stopped by one evening with a grocery bag. He looked older but also lighter. I brought dinner, he said, smiling weakly. He had made my favorite lasagna. We ate quietly for a while before he said, the detective came by today. Lily admitted to taking the money. My fork paused in mid-air. She confessed? He nodded. She tried to say you framed her at first, but when they showed her the paper trail, she broke down. A dull ache spread through my chest, not victory or satisfaction, just grief for the family that could have been. Dad reached for my hand. You know, I didn't realize how much you've carried. I let her paint you as selfish. You were the only one holding us together. I swallowed hard. I just wanted to be part of the family, Dad. That's all I ever wanted. He exhaled slowly. I know, and I'm sorry you had to buy your way into love that should have been free. For a moment, we just sat there, two people trying to rebuild something broken. The rain outside softened, and I realized that even if forgiveness wasn't complete, it had started. When Dad left, I stood at the window, watching his car disappear into the night. My reflection in the window looked different, calmer, more grounded. 2 months later, the world had settled into a new rhythm. The investigation was over. Dad had moved to a smaller apartment near the coast, and I'd stopped checking my phone for chaos. Peace had crept in quietly. That morning, I wrote a letter to Lily. Lily, I'm not writing to reopen old wounds. I'm writing to close mine. You took money that wasn't yours, but what hurt most wasn't the theft. It was how easily you made me the villain. I'm not sending this to punish you. I'm sending it to release both of us. I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means I won't carry this burden anymore. Nellie. I sealed the letter and mailed it. Later that evening, Dad called from the coast. You okay? He asked. I am, I said, and for once, I wasn't lying. He chuckled softly. You always were the strong one. No, I replied. I just learned how to stop apologizing for being strong. After we hung up, I sat by my window, watching the rain start again. My mind wandered back to that family dinner, the laughter that once cut me so deep. But that version of me, the one who kept quiet to keep the peace, was gone. Now, the silence was mine, a silence of ownership. I checked my banking app out of habit. The balance was stable, and for the first time in years, no one else's name was on the account. I smiled, closed the laptop, and whispered, guess I finally made it into the real family. Just me. Then I turned off the lights, locked the door, and let the rain play my victory song. This time, it was about finally keeping what was mine, peace.